I'm James Boyd. I'm a yachting journalist of some many years repute, and I'm here talking to Kevin Viles, who's CEO of Concept Marine Group. So, Kevin, just tell us a bit about your background as obviously where you're from and stuff like that. And boat building.
From Cornwall, born and bred. Lived there till about 20 years old. Then went overseas to start working in the entertainment sort of industry. Travelled the world doing sales jobs and things like that for about a year before entering into the world of painting ships.
All right. So entertainment industry?
Yeah, well, it was like hospitality jobs, entertainment, sales, you know, just sort of travelling jobs. So nothing really reflective on my career, but an opportunity to travel. I really wanted to travel the world. So that was the main part for me. When I came back to Cornwall, I got a job at the local shipyard, A&P shipyard in Falmouth. I got put on the paint team and we were painting P&O ferries, naval frigates, you know, big hairy rollers in a man lift, so nothing too high tech. And then from doing that for a while, a friend of mine called me and said they're looking for super yacht painters in Dubai. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, you paint ship stuff. It's a very, very different skill. So, but he gave me the number of the company. I rang the CEO of the company at the time and said, I understand two-pack paints and I haven't worked in yachts, but I've worked in ships and I'm a very quick learner. And he said, unfortunately, we need people with experience, so not this time. So I called him again another week. And then one day he said, can you be in Dubai? It was a Thursday. And he said, can you be in Dubai on Sunday? This was in 1999. No one had really heard of Dubai like they do now. So it was still a very unknown place. So yeah, I got flown out there, sent into a pretty prehistoric shipyard, undeveloped shipyard.
So that wasn't Premier Composites, that was...
No. This was Al Jadaf shipyard. And we were there to sort of do the fairing and painting of a 50 metre. I think at the time there was only 50 metres in the world at the time. So there's thousands now. So that's how much the industry's grown. And a lot of people didn't understand all grip fairing compounds, the specialist paints required in the process. So we were quite early on in that sector. And I worked there for 6 to 8 months. We were doing crazy hours, 80, 90 hours a week to get this boat completed. I got put in charge of a team of migrant workforce from Africa and India, and telling them what to do in a job that I was learning myself. So it was a baptism of fire, and basically it went really well. And I had imposter syndrome the whole time, thinking I'm going to get caught out here. Everyone's going to know I'm not skilled, but I learned really quickly. And at the end of the project, the CEO came back to visit the project, said, we've heard really good things about you. Would you like to come and work for us at Bonetti? So I then moved to Italy, worked with Bonetti, Perini Navi, a lot of the big well-known shipyards in the super yacht industry, and that's where I really sort of developed my knowledge and skill, and continued to travel the world doing that for about 4 more years before the entrepreneur in me was like, hang on a moment, I can probably do this and probably do it better.
So at what point were you, did you sort of move into management, or was that when your entrepreneurial spirit came on? Were you still, at Bonetti, were you still sort of spraying, or were you managing people at that point?
No, I was part of a team, and we were on the tools. So we were doing all the board sanding, 3-man boarding. I don't know if you've seen the process. Really hard work. We were staying to do all the paint shoots, so we were the team that were doing the longest hours than anyone. We were very much about making the money. It was a great opportunity to, like I said, travel the world and get paid quite good money at the same time. So it just is not for everybody, that type of work. But we had a really cool team of good guys that all traveled the world together, and they're friends of mine, still are now. So yeah, it was in 2003, I decided to set up Concept Yacht Finishing. So this is how Concept Yachts was born. And it was a super yacht painting company. And I went to a Monaco boat show on my own with my very dodgy business cards and my quite bad branding at the time, and was just going to all of the stands and saying hi. You know, I was 26 years old and I probably looked about 16 when I was 26. I was knocking on their doors and introducing myself and saying, you know, we're able to supply a team to paint your boats. And the first year, some people sort of laughed at me and saw that who's this kid, you know, asking to do these multi-million-pound paint jobs. And again, some were kind and courteous and invited me to some events and got to know people in the industry. Went back the second year, wore a suit that year, thought I'd look a little bit older. The second year they sort of went, oh, I remember your face from last year. How are you doing? Yeah, we're still in business. We're still doing this. So during that time as well, I was then working as a composite boat builder. So to keep an income coming while I did the business. So a friend of mine had a composite boat building company. He said, why don't you come over and start learning composite boat building?
What was that?
That was Piran Marine Composites. So they're based in Cornwall. They're called Piran Advanced Technologies or something now. They're doing really well. So yeah, we were doing the new Tamar class lifeboats. We were doing keel replacements on a lot of the crashed lifeboats, RNLI stuff, and doing manufacturing in their facility as well. So I was learning how to become a composite boat builder while also learning how to set up the yacht painting company. So, and the good thing about it was whenever I got a small project, I could go off with my team and do that, but then I knew that I could come back and keep earning money if I needed to. So that's kind of how we started.
Good arrangement.
So yeah.
So, and then the sort of the paint business sort of took off. What were your sort of big projects?
You know, it's very difficult to to take on £1 million paint job for a client when you don't have any previous history. So we started subcontracting some of the major super yacht painting companies and supplying them small teams and taking on areas of the boats. So we were involved with Devonport Yachts when they produced 3 yachts there. So we worked on those extensively for Bluefin and GT Pruin. They were the 2 main companies in the southwest. And so that's how we started kicking off. We landed a project in the Middle East for a 50 metre. That was for a Saudi sheikh. And that was our first job where we went out with a whole team and started doing that. And then that's when we evolved into the composite side. So it was during those projects, the purchasing department were like, oh, do you know anybody that can supply composite materials? Or do you know anyone that could weld and add these sections onto the boat? And a lot of the teams that were painting with me, they came from, everyone did everything in those days. So you had race boat builders that would do fairing when there was fairing projects, and everyone knew all the skills to build a boat. So a lot of my guys were from like the Whitbread round the world race teams, Ilbrook team and things like that. So we had really good composite boat builders that were fairing and painting with us. And they were like, we can build that for you, we can do that. So then Concept Composites was born. So then we had Concept Yacht Finishing, Concept Composites, which we umbrellaed as Concept Yachts. So that's how we started to evolve, really.
What sort of years were those then? So you started the paint business in?
2003. I think it was probably around 2007 that Concept Composites was introduced. Yeah. And then from there, again, when people would say, oh, I don't suppose you know any teak decking guys, do you? And again, there was a team of really great Romanians that we worked with in Benetti and Perini Navi, became really good friends with them. They were supplying really good teak work. So again, as a partnership, we were like, we can supply you guys to do that work. And again, we added in the sort of the teak deck side. And where we are today is we called ourselves the mobile shipyard because the same model worked for everything. So now we supply engineers, electrical, carpentry, internal, exterior, everything you need to build a yacht or a super yacht, we supply the skills for.
So basically everything now?
Yes. So like I said, we branded ourselves as the mobile shipyard. And again, this is when we sort of restructured and set up this full Concept Yachts with all of the services. And it wasn't long afterwards that we actually came and acquired a shipyard. Yeah. So again, we have our own manufacturing facilities now, as you know, and then that leads into us accidentally acquiring Southerly Yachts. So yeah, it's been quite the journey.
Oh, fantastic. Southerly Yachts you acquired a year ago.
Yes.
What's been happening sort of 10 years before that? That was just the building up of Concept Yachts kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, like I said, I started off in the paint industry, sort of transited into composite boat building. So I kept myself busy doing that. Then while I was doing the yacht painting businesses, when we did okay, me being the eternal entrepreneur, I set up other companies. So I've set up about 3 or 4 other companies, I think, on top of Concept Yachts. That were all successful in their own rights that I've either exited or sold on, or they couldn't continue to trade due to what we were selling. It was no longer relevant. So, but yeah, that was in finance. We were regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, regulated by the Ministry of Justice. We set up a Zorb footballing company. I saw that on the internet going viral and saw that nobody in the UK was doing it. So we were the first company to supply that, and became part of the International Bubble Football Association, and became the England managers for the team, and all these crazy sort of enterprises. So we sold that on. We had a fleet of 4 vans going across the country delivering these services. But I was at a point where I was spinning too many plates. So I was, I got an entrepreneurial idea, and I broke the rule of what all entrepreneurs say is stay focused. But whenever I got an idea, I acted on it. But I've got no regrets there, because I think what I've learned from each of those industries that are all very different, I've learned probably more than you could ever learn just focusing in one industry, and I've been able to bring all of that acumen back into the new version of Concept Yachts. So I've kept myself busy doing different things. Concept Yachts was always kept alive in the background. Back in those days, I wasn't aware of seed funding, Series A funding, all of the type of stuff. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't study business. I was literally just a natural entrepreneur, always was since I was a child. So I just got an idea and was like, let's do it. And I've always done my businesses with no investment, never had. And if I look back now with hindsight, my God, I could be retired, But it's been a really good journey to get all of our businesses organically to where they were without funding. And I almost felt that that's what you had to do, because I wasn't being taught or educated otherwise. So obviously, as I've grown and worked with other companies, I've worked as a consultant for manufacturers in the Middle East, for marine companies. I've sat on a European super yacht company as a commercial director. So again, entering into that corporate world that again I hadn't had any experience, and again massive imposter syndrome. I got headhunted to go and advise to these companies based on my experience, and then I'm sat in these big boardrooms and these multi-million or billion-pound companies, and they're asking my advice, and I'm thinking, God, they're going to find me out in a moment, because all of my knowledge was just from doing. And no formal study or education in that sector. But what I very quickly learned when I did enter into those corporate worlds was that actually all these people sat on the table, there's a lot of people making some seriously bad decisions, and it's really obvious to me. None of it was rocket science. And people were spending money, hemorrhaging cash, and I could identify very quickly. So that worked really well for me, and it gave me the confidence to come back into Concept Yachts with a newfound confidence that actually I am ready to take this to the next level. And that's when I've started working with mentors, other business professionals, discussing investment, which again, where we've got today with Concept Yachts, we still haven't had investment, but we're now ready for Series A because we're restructuring as a group of companies now. So we've created an ecosystem of businesses now. So it's not just Concept Yachts, but there's sort of 6 brands and subsidiaries now. Again, all done without funding. So quite proud of that.
Yeah. Good for you. And so in your Concept Yachts time, you mentioned sort of 50-metre boat for Saudi UAE royalty. Have there been any other sort of big projects we can mention, or are they all top secret?
No, you can mention some now. Some are still classified at military vessels we've been involved with. But Yaz was one of the biggest ones at the time of build. So 2009, that was in Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi royal family. And it was a Dutch naval frigate that was converted into the 6th largest giga yacht at the time, and the superstructure was removed and built in composite. So we were commissioned to send a team to the UAE to build this whole superstructure. It was the biggest composite structure of its kind ever built, and that's what really put us on the map. So that changed the whole trajectory of where we went as a company. So someone took a real chance on us. They had problems with other companies that had let them down, gave me a call. I said, we can bring the team out next week, 10 people. We went out for 3 months to help out with 10 guys, and we stayed there for 4 years and finished the project. So that went well. During that time, we built 15 interceptor boats, which are military grade, carbon fiber, all resin infused. We set up the infrastructure, built the factory, set up all the process, and supplied all the professional expertise. And then we also trained a lot of the migrant workforces that came from sort of the Philippines, India, the Asian countries and African countries that go to Dubai to work, or Abu Dhabi to work.
So I was going to ask where it was, so you just answered.
So we were there for 4 years, and quite a lot of people in the industry will know what Yaz is. She's a very unique vessel. And again, to build it in those conditions, in that climate, was a challenge. And again, I think we had a team of 35 guys from Concept Yachts, and I think over that time we probably helped train over 200 people as well. So.
How many people would you say you've got on Concept Yachts in your black book these days?
In the black book, it's probably thousands in general, but the active amount that we regularly work with is a pool of around 500. That's across all the disciplines. So again, because we're boat builders and we come from the world, we had the pull from working with lots of them for over 20 years. Lee Williams, our COO, is the same background as me. He's been contracting and boat building all over the world. So we've got a real connection with the teams we work with. A lot of people know our story and have watched us grow, and probably would have worked with us on the tools at some point. And if not, people would have heard the story. And I think a lot of people like to come and work for Concept Yachts now because we're not a recruitment agency, which is what a lot of these contractors end up going to recruitment companies. But we're not a recruitment company, we're boat builders. So you've got boat builders talking to boat builders. We know the job that's required to be done. We've done it ourselves, and we also continue to do it ourselves here at the facility. So we manufacture. So people like to be attached to the brands. And again, if somebody's working for us, we've put them on a project in a shipyard somewhere. If the project runs out, we're able to place them somewhere else, or maybe bring them in-house for a while, or even give them overseas opportunities. So I think people like to stay in the Concept family for that reason. And again, we look after people. One of the biggest parts for me about the company is the human side. And this is, as we grow and expand the group, all of the key management and directors at the company have all been hired through the ethos that we have, that we care about people. So when we're choosing our accommodation for them to stay in, how we're organising their travel, the communication, the salaries we offer, payments on time, it all seems like silly stuff, even giving them nice work uniforms to wear. All this sort of stuff seems really basic and simple, but you'd be surprised how many companies don't even focus on that sort of stuff. So again, because we've lived and breathed it and worked for so many different companies, we kind of knew where the gaps were and where people were getting it wrong. So that's why we have a lot of people that, even if they do leave us, they'll always come back when they get the phone call.
So presumably you get sent a lot of CVs?
We get sent a lot of CVs, but you have to be an expert at reading CVs as well, because sometimes the best CVs are wonderful on paper because that person might be really good at writing CVs or know someone that does. And then sometimes some of the worst CVs you get, these guys can be absolutely incredible boat builders, but they're just not very good at articulating it in the documents. So again, it's about understanding the industry, getting on a phone call to the contractor and talking to them about the skills we know. What would you do in this situation? What materials do you use for this? How much curing time would you use in this process? All the sort of stuff people should have quick answers for, and you could very quickly vet them over the phone. If it's a slightly higher spec job, we can bring them into our own facilities to do trade tests. So again, this is something that we have that other recruitment companies, they just grab CVs, they don't really know the trade, they pass them to the client and wash their hands of it, and they have a high turnover of some, people with good CVs but not good on the job sort of thing. So we've got quite a good vetting process, and again, I think that's what makes us quite unique in the industry, really.
Have you ever been asked to do a whole sort of super yacht project, or because I'm presuming you're a step away from?
We just looked at 2 electric ferries that we were asked to put in a presentation for, and again, that was working with another shipyard that had much bigger facilities. Us working with them because they have it was aluminium. So, but again, we can collaborate with bigger shipyards, help with their skill deficit, also supply project management and work collaboratively to do much bigger projects. So, but yes, I'd love to get to a point where we're building concept super yachts. Yeah.
And so Southerly, or tell me a bit about the story about what that brought that madness on.
So we came to visit this facility. We Googled, saw there was one available. I said, I'm in town. I spoke to the agent. He said, well, I'm not available, but if you go down and introduce yourself to the director there, I'm sure he'll show you around. So the same day we had the meeting with the client saying you need bigger facilities, jumped in the car, drove here, introduced myself, and he sort of gave us a tour, and it was perfect. 5-ton gantry crane, 10,000 square feet manufacturing facilities, had everything we needed, all the office space. So yeah, we were quite excited about it, and they were building a couple of Southerlys here at the same time. So we had a look at those, came into this actual boardroom, and he was like, I don't think I'm going to continue with Southerly. We're looking for somebody to acquire the company. It's really hard to find boat builders. It's hard to find the skills to do it. You know, my heart's not in it. He was very honest. He said, my heart's not in it. And, you know, it's just too hard to find the teams. We specialise in supplying expertise, and we've been doing it for every leading company in the UK and overseas. We've been supplying them with expertise for decades. So for us to do it for ourselves was kind of, well, that's not really the problem. That's what we specialise in. So let me find out more about these boats, because I'd heard of Southerly, of course, but I didn't know the details. So I did a bit of research and saw there's over 900 of these boats worldwide. Then I started to see the Distant Shores YouTube channels, and I started to see the Toby Hodges from Yachting Monthly and Yachting World doing these amazing reviews on the boat, and it was just amazing stuff. And then, you know, there was obviously some of the financial issues that Discovery had, but that was more to do with the Discovery Group and all of their products. So I identified it wasn't to do with the product, was not the issue. People absolutely loved these boats, but it was how they had been handled. And again, you can very quickly, we're very privileged to go in and see the inner workings of lots of yacht and super yacht manufacturers because we support them. So you can identify very quickly where they're spending too much money, for one. You know, if you walk in a design office and there's 5 or 6 people in one office, and you're like, but how many boats are you producing a year? And they give you a number, and you're kind of like, that's that's not going to add up. You can very quickly do the math, you know. So, so I looked at it with Lee. Lee was just saying, this is a really exciting opportunity. We felt like it was the universe doing its thing, and it was meant to be. So we very quickly made a decision just to come to an agreement, take it over. Once the 2 clients that had their yachts in bills heard that Concept were taking over, they were quite excited, because I think they'd had difficulties through the projects, and they came and personally, once they came and met us and we introduced ourselves, we were not contractually bound to finish their yachts, but they asked, would you mind including these and finish them for us, which we said by all means, because then we can just hit the ground running, take over the facility, start building boats straight away. So we finished the 480 that we delivered to a client in Miami, keeps it in Biscayne Bay Yacht Club there, 3rd generation. We delivered another one which is going on the Ark, and that's the 420. So that was another American client from Alabama. Again, he was just over the moon. We did a sort of a handover at the Southampton Boat Show last year, but there was still lots of work to do. So we spent a lot of time finessing that, getting everything right, commissioning it. We've had Gunnar Christensen, who works with us here, very seasoned sailor. So he's been working really closely with the owners. Something we're really key on as well. It's forging relationships with the owners. So they're not just buying a yacht and taking a service. We're helping them on their journeys. We have a client now who wants to circumnavigate the world, and we've got Gordon Kay, very seasoned sailor, a racing sailor, competitive, got lots of accolades and awards. He's circumnavigated the world 3 times. He's on our team as sales director. Again, so we've got this brilliant breadth of knowledge from the sailing world, supporting our clients. And again, they're not just coming to us to buy the boat, but they're almost coming to us to go, can you help me on this journey? Because a lot of people want to retire or sail to certain places. So yeah, we're sort of working with them, and we'll probably go and sail with them. I've been sailing twice with the client in the USA, and we're friends now. You know, it's quite a nice way to be as a company.
Definitely. Obviously, Southerlys have been now built by 3 previous companies. I mean, we don't need to sort of dwell on that, but I think, given Concept Yacht's background, and you've got so much sort of experience in the super yacht industry, where you have to build at the very highest level, you have to do everything at the really highest level. Yeah. Presumably, you're applying those sort of standards, if you like, to Southerly now. Is that correct? Again,
procedure, operating leanly. You know, again, we've got to where we are without any investment. So everything we do cautiously about spend, wastage of materials, yeah, and Lee's meticulous about planning and everything else. So again, with all of the commissioning the yachts with the owners, we're sailing with them. And if there's any feedback like, oh, I would just change this, or I'd raise the height of this platform, I would just, we're taking note to all of the feedback, implementing them on the new builds. Again, don't forget they're semi-customs. We're not just churning out production, plastic, fantastic yachts. These are handcrafted, lots of beautiful craftsmanship going into them. And if an owner wants a certain design, if it makes sense, we will build it for them. So each one will never be exactly the same. Again, we're moving forward with composites and things like that. We're probably involved into infusing our hulls, adding new technologies. We all come from a background where we use pre-preg, infusion, carbon fibre specialists. A lot of our guys are from race boat backgrounds, so America's Cup, Volvo, Ocean Race. So that type of mindset of the build, where you have mil tolerances to get things right, that's how we've all been trained. That's how we've all had to work. And again, myself coming from the super yacht industry, there's only one finish, and it's the highest, forget 5-star hotels, it's super yachts at a much higher level. So when you've operated in that world for 20 years, you kind of become quite annoying to people because everything has to be perfect. And I'm the worst for it. It has to be absolutely perfect. So yeah, I think where we're bringing in that sort of race boat build standard and super yacht quality, that's just come organically because of our background. So, but it's good for the business. So.
Yeah, but the other thing which is pretty amazing, well, which I just have been given the guided tour, but you have, you can do literally everything here. You even have a CNC machine, which for a boatyard of this size is unheard of, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we acquired the CNC machine. Later we acquired the shipyard, and then we knew that the CNC machine was being available. So
the CNC, what kind of things does that help you with?
Again, all of our pattern making, any flat panels, the foam cutting, furniture making. We can start to flat pack everything. Again, we're handcrafted, but again, you've got the accuracy of a CNC machine, and you've got the speed. So we can produce all the panels that we need to build boats. All the different foam core patterns, and almost make kits for ourselves, so we can make sure everything is perfect. So, and we've got the veneer press as well, so we can press all our own veneers, like this table we're sat on today. All the furniture's made in-house. We don't have to rely on outsourced suppliers, again reducing our costs. It's we're very aware that a lot of companies in the yachting industry are struggling or not making money. We know that there was a huge spike, an unprecedented spike in yacht sales during COVID, and everyone thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be forever, but obviously there's what goes up must come down. I think a lot of companies expanded, hired, spent lots of money, and then in the downturn, which we're currently in the downturn at the moment, they're struggling and they're hemorrhaging cash. And the way we're doing things is all in-house. We have our contractor teams. If we have to face a downturn, we can place our teams on other projects. If we do scale up, we can bring our teams to scale up, but again, in that flexible manner that we operate for other businesses. So for investors, for instance, it's smart, because you've got to protect for the downturn. So again, I think we just look at business very differently to a lot of other people, and a lot of other people that inherit yacht companies or buy shares into them. There's investors and money, and people feel they have deep pockets. We've never been able to operate like that. So even with investment moving forward as we grow the group, we'll still keep the same mindset of being very lean, very smart, don't spend money unnecessarily, and almost be clever in our processes. You don't need as many people as you think you do in these businesses. So I think that's where we have an edge to survive. And I think the other side as well is we're not a one-trick pony. So we can build 7 Southerlys a year or something, and that would be a really nice number. It keeps the brand exclusive, it keeps the quality high, but also we're not trying to compete with some of them that are trying to churn out 50 to 100 boats a year. Then we also have our Power Cats as well, which is a partnership with Infinity Yachts. So we have the Power Cats that we're bringing to market. We also have our own rib range that we've designed in-house, and again, we've got other projects where I think a lot of the companies that are struggling, they have to sell X amount of ribs to survive, X amount of sailing yachts to survive, where we can build bespoke products across our range. Along with that, we can still manufacture for, you may consider our competitors in some ways, but I don't feel they are, strong competitors because they're more clients. Even though we produce some of the products that they may produce, we're helping them produce because they're producing on a much higher level. So, and then we have the manpower supply, which is in the yacht and super yacht industry, and then we've also got Concept Industrial, which is servicing the defence, offshore oil and gas and commercial shipbuilding industries. So we've sort of protected ourselves from any downturns. As you know, in the defence sector alone, there's 77 billion from the British government to renew all of our fleets and new technologies. And again, we've got all the accreditations and approvals to supply those now. So that's taken us over a year to get in that position. But again, it protects us from a downturn, protects investors from a downturn, and hopefully means that, if there is a big dip in yachts, we could be building military boats or what have you in the meantime.
So do you have other facilities? I mean, if say you get a big defence, if you get a big naval contract or something like that, do you have the ability to sort of expand here, or
yeah,
do you just
again? So we've got that kind of flexible model like we do with our manpower. So we've got a facility that we were in Romsey that we still have, and we're going to use that for some refit work. And again, we've got some classified projects that could be coming up that we will use that for a refit centre. We're also looking at setting up another facility in Cornwall. So obviously the home of where we are. As you know, we've got our head offices in Truro in Cornwall, but we're looking at setting up another manufacturing facility there, probably around 6,000 square feet.
in Truro?
Around the A30. So we've got a couple of options. One we had secured, but there were some planning issues, so we're just dealing with that. But we have got some potential contracts on the table that would mean we can secure work for the next 3 years. We've got a lot of great skills in Cornwall. Good friends of mine and people I've worked with that love living in Cornwall and they don't want to work anywhere else. Which I understand why. So again, people are like, let me know when you're setting up in Cornwall. So for us to put something back into Cornwall, it's got one of the highest unemployment rates, some of the lowest wages in the country. So for me to be able to create jobs and give opportunity, again, we're getting a lot of support from the government, are really excited about that type of thing. Apprenticeships, upskilling people. So yeah. And I can give my son a job as well, so he can get into the industry as well. So.
Lucky chap.
Yeah.
So lots of West Country, Southwest, there's all the development pods,
Yeah.
There's the grants to be had and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of funding for people to develop in Cornwall. Yeah. But again, we don't set things up on speculation. So what we're doing is securing these agreements, and then for us, it's very easy for us to go and secure a 3-year lease on a building. Then this is what we do all over the world. We then send in our contractor teams. They start building the boats. So we can do this really, really quickly. And again, if there was ever a downturn, you can finish the contract, move your team somewhere else. So we're not in that tricky spot that a lot of businesses are. We're really maneuverable. And that comes from working with shipyards all over the world and them asking us to set up facilities in some really challenging environments. So.
That's cool. So let's return to Southerly, since that's why we're here.
Sure.
And also, basically, when you got the company, you had a 420, as they were called then, a 42 and a 48 in build. And you seem to you're continuing with those. You're focusing on those two models. Because I think the Southerly range there is actually quite. How many models are there in total? How many?
Originally, there was like 36s, 38s, 42s, 48s, 57s. There may have been, that's just the ones that I know of. When we inherited the company, we had the moulds for the 42, the 48. We then were aware of the moulds for the 36 and the 57, which we've acquired now. So we have the tooling for those. We also have the moulds for the 51-foot blue water cat as well. So we didn't want to try and be everything to everyone. And again, going back to where I feel some companies have failed, they're offering too many products too quickly. I thought it was really important for us to finesse the builds of the 420 and the 480, get our process and everything operating really smoothly here, which you've had a tour today, and hopefully you can see that we're sort of in the right place now.
Just talk a bit about what's the USPs of Southerly. I'm obviously talk about the lift keel and just something. Why do people buy Southerlys?
The swing keel, the lifting keel technology. Obviously, if you're sailing, you can beach these things, you can dry them out. You can sail at very shallow waters. I think 0.8 meters. I think draft on the 42, and about 1 point just over a meter with a 48. So again, you can sail in a monohull where other yachts can't sail, and that's really attractive. They've got the heritage. These boats were sailing all over the world. They're well documented. They're the best of British craftsmanship, and I think that's something that people forget. We've got such a heritage with boat building. It's in our blood, and it's and again, I think Southerly is sort of iconic in that, but they're all still built probably the way they were all those years ago with really highly skilled boat builders. They're beautiful, they're solid, they've passed the test of time, and they've got cult followings. People that buy Southerlys usually stay brand loyal. There's lots of Southerly's owners associations around the world, and people are really proud to be part of them. So yeah, I'd say the British handcrafting, the lifting keel, I think they're the main USPs. But again, there's not many other companies that are building lifting keel boats, and certainly not composite ones. There are some aluminium companies.
To suit yacht standards.
Exactly that as well. So, we're always looking to improve as well, So again, we're going to be injecting our quality standards into the build process. And again, for us, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We want to give a legacy to the company. We want to be the people that are remembered for giving Southerly the next 50 years of life. So when it gets to its 100-year anniversary, maybe someone will mention our name somewhere and say, these guys did this 50 years ago, and look at it now. We've rebranded. I think the brand that we've created is a lot more in line with the standard of the boat. I felt that the old branding was very dated, and again, there's little improvements. Again, how we're presenting in the market as well, and we're very big on marketing and presence. And because I've set up quite a lot of companies, I always got involved in the creative process, and I really enjoy that side of things. And one thing that we noticed as a company, when I was starting to do some research and development on the competitors and how they market, they've got very, very big budgets. They've got deeper pockets, but they all present in the very same way. And it's usually, the middle-aged guy with his wife and some children in their stripy crew top, and off they are, pleasantly sailing off to a quiet retirement. And I just felt no one was really presenting yachting how it actually is. Because all of the sailors I know, whether they're middle-aged, old, or whatever they present themselves, they're pretty hardcore people. And you sit down and have a pint with some of these guys, they're telling you some crazy stories about seas they've sailed into, countries they've been to, the adventures they had. So the people that sail well are young, free-spirited, maverick pirates, and no one's presenting the yachts to them in that way. So kind of watch this space with that, because we want to present the brand as well, very, very differently. The hashtag's going to be punk yachting. So again, we just want to do something that's very different to everyone else. And also remember that just because we're getting older, everyone in their heads is still, that punk or that raver or that, hippie or whatever they were when they were younger, or a free-spirited maverick. But like I said, to sail the world and go out in the seas and travel these countries in these yachts, it takes a certain type of person. And I just don't think it's presented the way it should be.
Yeah, definitely. Just tell us, where would you like the company to be in 5 years' time?
Secure, a big order book. We've delivered 2 in the last year. We've got a 42 and a 48, and 42 3-cabin version being built now. 48 is in line to be getting built in the coming weeks. We have another visit next week for somebody else that's interested in another model. So already in our first year, and again, bear in mind, we haven't got big investment for marketing. We're doing really clever strategic marketing. And again, once people have realised that the company's in safe hands and it's being presented well, people are starting to come in now and go, oh, can we come and have a visit? Can we come and see your yacht? And I think a lot of the people are out there just waiting to see what happened with the company. So again, 5 years from now, I'd want it to be a really secure brand with a long future ahead of it, which I'm really confident we can do that. Really confident we can do that.
I'm assuming at some point new model, brand new models.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, we'll be at that stage then where we can start to be more innovative. And again, we want to just offer some move with the times, design-wise. We want to have the wink to the heritage of the brand, but we certainly don't want to be left behind in advancements in technology and design. So we've got our own in-house designers. We still work very closely with all of the leading designers that have been involved with Southerly in the past. There's lots of new, exciting up-and-coming designers as well. And again, so we're in a really good position to create something beautiful. We're probably going to be doing that before 5 years. So again, we've got the anniversary model that I think we're going to be doing something quite special quite quickly. So that would probably be in the next year. But yeah, 5 years down the line, if the orders are coming in, maybe we'll have a bigger facility because the interest is, if people want us to build 20 boats a year and it's viable, we will do it. But we won't do it on a whim because there's a peak in sales due to a period. So we'll be very thought out about the long term. Not the short-term success, but long-term success. But yeah, 5 years from now, a very solidified, recognised, respected brand.
Well, I mean, the good thing is normally, I come to a company like this, and they have an X number of people working on it, and so the magic question is how many boats do you have to build a year to be solvent? And it sounds like with you, that's sort of kind of fairly immaterial because you can.
It is. I mean, we factored into sort of build between 4 and 7 a year. Now we could ramp up marketing, which is going through a process for getting investment into our group. So we will probably increase the marketing budgets to build pipelines and solidify the brand. But we want to be very cautious before what we take on. And we don't, like I said, we don't need to build loads of Southerlys to survive because we build other boats too. And we build boats for all the boat builders around the world and in the UK. So we're kind of protected and we're not forced into that situation to make desperate decisions. So we can kind of be relatively calm about it and go, okay, let's do these and do them well. To have gradual growth, thought out planned growth, yes, and we'll include that in our strategy as well.
So Kevin, just tell us a bit about what Concept Marine Group's plans are for Southampton Boat Show.
Yes, so to the public, it's going to be like the official launch of Concept Marine Group, although we're sort of structuring now as the group. This is where we're going to be first putting it out into the public sphere. So basically we'll have our 6 brands and subsidiaries underneath there. So it'll be Southerly Yachts, Infinity Power Cats, our Concept Alpha Ribs. There's also going to be the manpower supply side of the business. So again, Concept Yachts, Concept Industrial. That will be presenting all of that at the show. We're going to have a VR experience. So we've got the 60-foot carbon power cat that we're bringing to market, the Infinity Power Cat 60. You'll be able to come put a headset on and literally walk around in the interior of the boat. So that's really interesting, get a feel for the size and how it works for you. So that's a great tool for people that are looking to buy a boat off plan. We're obviously going to have a lot of demo information about Southerly Yachts there. We're going to be doing a VIP tour, so anybody interested in a Southerly yacht could either come to us at the boat show and book in during the 10 days. We've got the ribs that we build in-house, so we're going to have one of those at the boat show so we can pick you up, take you directly across the water to our shipyard, greet you with a glass of bubbly, give you a tour of our facilities. You can watch the 420 being built, the 3-cabin version, and actually see the craftsmanship underway. Come into the boardroom here, choose your furnishings, we'll discuss all of the options for fit out and design, meet the sales team, design team. Like I said, get a real nice experience. So if you're in Southampton specifically for the boat show, great experience to come in and see what we do here and discuss in private what you would like. So that's one option there. We also have, we'll be launching the 57, we'll be announcing the 57 model. So the 50-year anniversary model to celebrate 50 years of Southerly Yachts. So again, that will be an announcement at the boat show as well. So quite a lot to announce really. So almost letting everyone know that we're now this group of companies, that we're launching new models of boats, and we've got all these great products to showcase. So quite an exciting stand to visit really. So, and we've got something for everyone there.
So Kevin, thanks very much for your time today, and it's been fascinating to hear about Southerly Yachts and Concept Marine Group.
It's been my absolute pleasure, thank you.